First of all, thank you very much for being here. It's a pleasure to have you in our studio, Mr. Ambassador. We see that the Russian attacks have intensified on Ukraine. A few nights ago, I read over 700 drones and 13 missiles have been launched by the Russian forces against Ukrainian territory in one of the biggest attacks since the beginning of this war. Last night, 2 people have died. Over 400 drones in a similar raid. What do you need the most right now to be able to face these Russian attacks?
Well, let me first thank for the invitation to join you in this studio.
It's our pleasure.
It is my pleasure to meet with you and also to engage with your audience on issues which are very pressing for my country, for my people, but in more general terms also for security and the future of this region and also of Europe. As you rightly pointed out, indeed, Ukraine and Ukrainian people are subjected to massive aerial attacks from the Russian forces every day and every night. In fact, the night before, over 700 drones launched against different locations in Ukraine. That was the biggest aerial attack on Ukraine in all these over 3 years of Russia's large-scale invasion into Ukraine. Last night, over 400 drones. It is one of the biggest attacks. So we see
it lasted for 10 hours,
and the air alert in Kiev lasted for over 10 hours. So it's not one attack; it's the wave of attacks that happen over an extended period of time, and with an intention to cause as much damage as possible. Unfortunately, again, we have casualties among civilians. Killed and wounded. Again, in this last attack, a number of residential buildings were damaged, and a number of civilian infrastructure facilities also came under attack and were damaged. And let me tell you that all of these massive attacks, they happen at a time when Ukrainian leader, President Zelensky, when American President Donald Trump have taken an initiative of establishment of ceasefire to create the space for political and diplomatic negotiation to put an end to this awful and horrible war.
Yeah.
In fact, it was in March of this year that Ukraine accepted the proposal of the American president on establishment of a temporary ceasefire of at least 30 days. That was in March. But since that time, not only Russia dismissed this proposal, but they intensified the attacks. In fact, from April, the Ukrainian embassy in Bucharest opened the book of condolences 5 times because of the high number of casualties among civilians in Ukraine, including children. We have casualties because of Russian attacks every night. But when I opened these books, and such books were also opened in capitals across the world, it was because of this very big number of casualties among civilians. This is what we face now. What is the response? The response is that we need to increase cost for Russians for conducting this war. The pressure to be put on Russia must encourage and stimulate them to take seriously the offer of negotiations. 2 main tracks. First, it is strengthening the defense capabilities of Ukraine. We must be able to be in a position to better defend our people, our infrastructure. Number 1 priority, are the means of air defense. This is a number one and top priority. There are also other items that Ukrainian defense forces require to be more effective in repelling the Russian attacks and Russian aggression. But faced with this huge number of different devices that the Russians used against Ukraine, it's not only the drones, the hundreds of drones, but also the missiles of various types, including ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and others. And therefore, this is the number one priority. And second, again, track, which should be looked at in combination with the first one. This is the increase of the sanctions pressure on Russia. We need to do more to deprive Russia of financial resources that they use to finance this war. You may know that the 18th package of sanctions is now under considerations of the European Union. We do hope that this package of sanctions will be adopted as quickly as possible, and it must contain measures that would decrease or diminish Russia's revenues from the energy sector. We also expect that there will be progress on adoption of respective sanctions bill in the United States of America. There is a draft bill under consideration in the Congress. This would also be a very important step in significantly increasing pressure on Russia.
You've mentioned the United States, Mr. Ambassador. We saw that initially the American President Donald Trump was rather, let's say, aggressive to the Ukrainian President, Mr. Zelensky. And now we see a sort of a different approach, right? We see a Donald Trump that announces the sending of more military support to Ukraine. How do you explain this change in attitude? What happened in the meantime?
Well, first, let me say that from Ukrainian perspective, from the viewpoint of President Zelensky, of the Ukrainian government, there is a possibility to put an end to this war, thanks to a strong engagement on the part of the US President, of the United States of America, and application of approach of peace through strength. There needs to be a very strong position to make Russia end this war. You put the question about what may have contributed to a certain shift in the approaches, in the position, and I would say that probably it is the understanding of what is happening on the ground. That in fact, again, the approaches of the Ukrainian president about the ceasefire, about the way of how we see the movement towards putting an end to this war, and in parallel, what is happening is this intensification of terror that Kremlin inflicts on the Ukrainian people, causing so many casualties, killed and wounded, among Ukrainian population.
Speaking
so
of,
there is this